This is my final video for my communications class. I unfortunately do not have an audience. I had an audience, but they had to go help my brother move out of college, and they still aren't back yet, and I was hoping they would be, but I don't have much more time for this assignment, so I'm just going to roll with this. So my topic is why the death penalty should be eliminated. There are many factors that play into this. The main three that I have are they escape true punishment, it doesn't prevent crime, and you risk executing the wrong person. So we'll get my first topic, escape true punishment. Now, it's a very controversial topic, that is for sure, because some people would disagree, but my topic is why the death penalty should be eliminated. So what I mean by this is they'll go to trial. Let's say they get the death penalty. They can sit in prison for a couple days, or they could sit in prison for 8 years. Like there's no really telling how long they're gonna be there, but eventually they're gonna die. Rather, if there wasn't a death penalty, every day they'd have to wake up regretting the crime that they did and have to live with it until they die in jail, which could be 30 to 40 years longer than what it would have been if they were just getting the death penalty. So that's what I mean by that, escaping true punishment. My next topic is doesn't prevent crime. So there has been studies done that shows that states without the death penalty have had a lower crime rate or about the same as states with the death penalty. So that means states with the death penalty have either had higher crime rate or about the same as states that don't have the death penalty. So states instill the death penalty to scare criminals, but when criminals are making a crime or committing a crime, they're not thinking of their punishment. They're in the moment, they're committing the crime, and then they just live with their punishment. They're not going to enjoy the punishment, that is for sure, but they live with it, right? So that's what, and it doesn't prevent crime. It's not just one study, multiple studies have been done to show that states without the death penalty have had probably a lower crime rate overall than states with the death penalty. So the instilling fear in people, it's not really a thing. And my final thing is risk executing the innocent person. So what do I mean by this? There's many factors that go into this. I think my main one is DNA and the innovation of technology that helps us allow DNA samples to be a thing. So we'll go into an example with the DNA. So a guy named Kirk Bloodsworth was out on a walk, and earlier that morning, a 9-year-old girl had been assaulted and killed in the woods. And Kirk was on a walk around a pond and was helping 2 young boys out fishing. And later on, the boys got called in for questioning, and the sketch artist was there, and so they drew a sketch, and it happened to resemble Kirk a little bit, but not too much, but they brought him in, and they convicted him of assaulting and killing the 9-year-old girl. But Kirk had an alibi all night. His entire family and the people he worked for vouched for him. He had an alibi, but they just didn't believe it because there was no way to prove it. So he went on trial, and he was on trial for 2 years, and then he got put into prison. He was in prison for 8 years before they gave him the option to submit DNA because they had found some DNA on the body that they hadn't previously found. And so he submitted DNA, and after 8 years of being in prison, just him submitting DNA proved that he was innocent. So that's why DNA is a huge factor in, it eliminates executing people. So the innovation of technology has really helped along the way, because back in the 1950s, there wasn't the technology not even close to the technology that we have today. So with every year, the technology is getting better and better and better. It is helping out, justifying who is innocent, who isn't innocent. So pretty much anytime anyone goes to jail or prison for a crime, there's almost every single time a DNA test to make sure that it is that person, if there is DNA on whatever they were doing. And Kirk was the first person ever to be convicted innocent with DNA samples. So that's a very big milestone. And from then, there have been hundreds of people that have submitted DNA and have been proven innocent. That leads me to my next fact. So over 190 sentences to death in the U.S. have been proven innocent, either by DNA, wrongful conviction, or misconduct. So what I mean by this is there's been over 190 people that could have been basically dead by now, but due to the innovation of technology, they've been proven innocent, and that has allowed them to go on with their lives, even though they did have to face the hardship of either being in prison or jail for however long they're in there, but they were eventually proven innocent. So overall, I think that the death penalty should be eliminated because I personally think that they need to fulfill their crime to the fullest and not get an easy way out, per se, by just committing a crime and then you just die. Instead, they commit the crime, they sit, they wait, and they rot in prison until their sentence, basically when they die, is up. And I think that when they are sentenced to life without parole, that should stick. It doesn't matter how good they are in prison. It should stick that life without parole means life without parole. They do not get any opportunity to ever get out. They can be high standards in prison and be like a really good inmate, yeah, but they should never be able to get out they obviously committed a crime bad enough to the point where they're in there for life. So that is why I think that the death penalty should be eliminated.